Physically trapped on vacation with a neighbor, 28M, who refuses to take no from me, 18F. Need advice. Hey everyone, I really need some outside perspective on how to handle a boundary issue with my neighbor. I am an 18-year-old girl, and my neighbor is turning 28. We grew up in the same area but have absolutely nothing in common. He has been trying to pursue a relationship with me since I was much younger, and despite the large age gap, he refuses to stop. Even when I was like 15 he would start off by just being really nice, and then the more time passed he started being flirty and weird, but he always did it like in secret or whatever, probably because he know it's wrong. He is still pursuing me. Right now, our families are staying in the same vacation area, and I cannot escape the situation. He texts me nonstop, looks for any excuse to cross physical boundaries, and moves his chair closer to mine whenever he gets the chance. He constantly asks me to go on walks with him, and even though I say no and that I don't want to every single time, he just doesn't stop. To make matters worse, his parents constantly joke about it, saying that the two of us are going to get married, and that they want to become grandma and grandpa already. I have said that I don't find it funny, but they just laugh it off. I feel very isolated because the people around me don't seem to notice how much this behavior is affecting my comfort and safety. My parents quite like him because we all grew up together. They genuinely see him as the nice neighbor boy we've known for years. But they have made sometimes claims that they think is weird, and his behavior is weird. I know I need to talk to them about this and how it feels to me, and I know they will understand and realize the situation. They will support me, so don't worry about my parents or that they are bad parents. They are great, I just haven't been good at expressing myself. He started of being really nice, which no one really reacted to, but as time passed he just started acting weird and flirty. How can I best handle this communication block with my parents, and what are my practical options for setting boundaries when he refuses to take no for an answer? Edit, just wanted to add that my parents are actually super supportive and amazing people. A lot of the things he does are very discreet, and I realize now that I haven't been clear enough with my parents about how anxious and uncomfortable this is actually making me feel. I'm gonna have a serious talk with them about how it makes me feel. Update. Hey everyone, so here is an update about it all. I just want to say thank you for all the advice. It means a lot for people to actually realize how the situation made me feel, and I don't feel as alien or crazy now. I don't know where to put the update, but I will just add it here. I have blocked him on everything, and will never speak to the man ever again. I couldn't sleep at all because my head couldn't stop, and I was going to wait for tomorrow, but I decided to go and wake my parents up because I felt like I needed to really get this off my chest. It's thanks to a lot of you guys that made me actually have the courage to tell them everything. I sat down with them and explained everything, including how long it's been going on. They were genuinely shocked. They thought his behavior had just started recently now that I'm 18, and they hadn't realized how bad it actually was. They thought he wasn't really in love with me, just that it was his parents that liked to make jokes about it all, but I told them that wasn't the case and showed them everything. Once they got the full picture and realized how anxious and unsafe he has been making me feel, they got extremely angry and upset. I know I should have been clearer with them sooner, but I honestly thought I was just overreacting. My dad is quite furious, and the absolute first thing he is doing in the morning is going over to confront him and his family face to face to put a stop to this, and he talks about plans on filing a report too. We were originally going to leave today later anyway, but now we are officially not returning to our summer house until he is completely gone from the area. What are the best steps to take moving forward with this situation? The only thing I can do now is wait for tomorrow for when he will confront him. Now I don't know what happens. Also, thank you again. Thank you so much for your all support and advice. It did really help him understand the situation and made it easier for me to talk to my parents about it. I am going to try to get some sleep now. It's 6 a.m. here. I hope everyone sees this update, otherwise I will make a new post. Another update. A short and probably last update before I go offline. My dad went and talked to him. I didn't go with because I couldn't deal with it and it felt way too uncomfortable. My dad came back and just said they had a talk and that he's pretty sure it's sorted out now and that he will leave me alone. I also unblocked him to mute him instead, so that way he can't bother me with notifications, those he hasn't deleted, but I still have access to our old messages in case. I don't know if the situation is over or what happens now, but I will not return to my summer house when I know he's there. Comments.
You're 18 now, OP. You're an adult. You don't have to continue to do what your parents and his parents want you to do. Start by blocking him on your phone, so he can't harass you with text messages. If his parents or your parents complain, just tell them directly. I know he has a crush on me, but I don't have any feelings for him. I just want him to quit bothering me. When he asks you to go for a walk with him, say no. When he pushes his chair closer to yours, move yours away, or get up and go somewhere else. And most of all, if he touches you against your will, yell, "Get off of me. I don't like the way you're touching me," and move away. That should at least put an end to the inappropriate physical contact, especially if you embarrass him in public. Make it your goal that by the end of your forced shared vacation with this older creep, both he and his family will understand that you don't like him even as a friend, let alone as a romantic prospect. Stay strong, you got this. When he asks you to go for a walk with him, say no. That exclamation point is important. Tell him no. When he laughs it off, tell him, I've told you no before. I'm telling you now, the answer is no. Make sure your parents hear it. Make sure his parents hear it. Make it awkward and uncomfortable. Humiliate him. He is taking advantage of your politeness. Stop being polite. This is perfect. Be very loud and vocal. This guy is a creep and disgusting. Don't ever allow yourself to be alone around him. I would only add that women being polite to creeps is often a safety strategy in addition to the way girls are socialized. In this case, OP may well feel safe enough to be more forceful, but humiliated men can be dangerous. Stay safe, OP. Talking to your parents about him is a good first step. If they try to brush it off as harmless, don't let them. He is harming you already by making you so anxious. And then I would take it public when your families are together. The loud part is important. I would even say something like, you're a bad person and a creep. Leave me alone, in front of his parents and yours. Humiliating the parents might get them to stop encouraging him. You raised a bad man. I don't want anything to do with your creepy son. I hope you let us know how it goes. Good luck.
My boyfriend, 34M, knew I, 35F, didn't want unprotected sex. Now I'm pregnant and don't remember having sex. I'm looking for outside perspectives because I'm struggling with how to view what happened. A few weeks ago, my boyfriend, 34M, my roommate, and I, 35F, went to a concert. I got extremely drunk. Not buzzed, drunk, completely obliterated. I was falling over, couldn't walk properly, and could barely function. My boyfriend had also been drinking, but not to the same extent. He was sober enough to drive us over an hour home after the concert. According to my roommate, I went straight to bed when we got home. I have very little memory of anything after leaving the concert. About 2 to 3 weeks later, I started having pregnancy symptoms and got a positive pregnancy test. Based on the timing of the tests, the pregnancy appears to be very early. The problem is that, to my knowledge, I had not had any sexual contact in months. I have absolutely no memory of having sex. When I told my boyfriend I was pregnant, he casually said he doesn't really remember having sex either, but thinks it might have happened when we got home from the concert. His explanation technically fits the timeline, and because I was so intoxicated, I wouldn't remember it. Some additional context. I do not want this pregnancy. I stopped sleeping in the same bed as him after finding out. Before this happened, he knew I did not want to have sex unless we could prevent pregnancy. I had explicitly told him I didn't want sex because he has difficulty maintaining an erection long enough to use condoms, and I did not want to risk getting pregnant. He was aware of that position. He frequently joked about getting me pregnant, which has always bothered me because he doesn't seem to take the possibility seriously. Part of me feels responsible because I chose to get that drunk. Another part of me keeps coming back to the fact that I was apparently so intoxicated that I have no memory of what happened, and I had previously made it clear that I did not want unprotected sex. I'm not looking for legal advice. I'm trying to understand how other people would view this situation. If your partner had sex with you while you were so intoxicated that you have no memory of it, after you had previously said you did not want unprotected sex, would you consider that consensual? Edit, I left this out as to not muddle up the question with judgment, but he is gone as of last night and I am absolutely getting an abortion. I have zero hesitation on both of those things. I'm just still trying to, I guess, categorize what happened in my own head. Comments.
Would you consider that consensual? No. I get an abortion and leave. I'm sorry. Kicked him out last night, and the abortion is in the plans. When I get the funds in a couple days. There's no hesitation on that. The relationship is absolutely over for that and other reasons. Sober enough to drive. Sober enough to know what he was doing was rape. I am so sorry, Opie. There was definitely a crime, either drunk driving or rape, but probably both. You really need to ask your roommate again if there was anything else from that night they could remember. Noises, furniture moving, stuff like that. Anything to implicate that you did have sex that night. And then go to a DV agency to ask about what can be done for legal assistance to get justice. He was so nonchalant about it. He clearly could remember it. I don't think anyone who couldn't remember having SEC with a person would be so chill about them being pregnant, even if they had been in a relationship for a while. You were assaulted. You need counsel. You need some free therapy from the DV agency at least. If nothing at all, please seek that out. Edit. Did you pay cash or card for the drinks at the concert? Can you pull up anything from your bank that could implicate how much you spent on alcohol that night? Did you buy your own, or did he buy it for you? This right here. I think the normal reaction would be shock, or even wonder if Op cheated. But no. He remember having sex. He remember having no projection. He knows it is his.
My dad, 64/M, accidentally sent me, 34/M, a voice text meant for someone else, and it kind of confirmed everything I've suspected my whole life. My parents divorced when I was 5, and I'm now 34/M. My dad cheated on my mom with the woman he's now married to. She already had a daughter, whom he later adopted. My sister and I are his biological children. I'm 34, my biological sister is 36/F, and our stepsister is 38/F. Growing up, the favoritism was obvious. My stepmom and stepsister openly mocked my mom, and we were treated differently in ways that were hard to articulate as kids but impossible to ignore. My dad barely paid child support, and my mom had to take him to court multiple times just to get what she was owed. My sister, who took the brunt of the Cinderella treatment, stopped talking to him nearly 15 years ago. I've kept the relationship alive, though I don't fully know why. My stepsister went to a fairly expensive private college, dropped out, had a Vegas wedding, both my sister and I were invited and attended, got divorced, remarried, both my sister and I were not invited, and now lives in a beautiful home with her husband and 2 kids right down the road from my dad and stepmom. We've always assumed my dad helped financially through all of it, but we've never had confirmation. Meanwhile, my sister and I paid for our own colleges, cars, and homes, with the help from our mom when she could. 2 years ago, my dad, probably drunk, texted me asking how he could be a better father, a little late pal. The message caught me completely off guard because he's never acknowledged being anything less than amazing. I told him I was jealous of the relationship he has with our stepsister, and the conversation basically fizzled out with zero follow-up. Recently, my fiancé and I closed on our first home and are in the middle of planning our wedding. He hasn't offered to help with either, which is fine. I stopped expecting anything a long time ago. What he did offer was to buy us groceries when he came out to visit. We live about 5.5 hours away now. I hate to sound ungrateful because, at its core, it's a nice gesture. But knowing how much he has likely supported my stepsister financially over the years, it felt a little hollow. Still, I appreciated it. Free food is free food. That was until this week. He accidentally sent me a voice text that was clearly meant for someone else. In it, he talked about looking into an 11-day Viking cruise around Alaska with his wife, but then realizing it would be cheaper to take my stepsister, her husband, and their 2 kids to Thailand instead. The message was mostly him bragging about how much money he'd save and how fun the trip with his grandkids would be. I don't care about the money itself. I care about what it confirms. He's had resources this entire time and has quietly directed them toward the family he chose, while my sister and I handled every major life milestone on our own. If he helped pay for her education, weddings, home, and family vacations while offering us a grocery run during our engagement and first home purchase, I honestly don't think I have anything left to say to him. My sister checked out 15 years ago and has always told me she's amazed I kept trying. I think I finally understand where she was coming from. At this point, I don't even want an apology for myself, and I definitely don't want money, although it would be a great start. What I want is for him to apologize to my sister and my mom for how they were treated. But I know that's never going to happen. The icing on the cake is that I still need to move the rest of my belongings out of my mom's house in another state. My dad offered to drive everything out in his truck this weekend, which I genuinely appreciated. But he also mentioned he needs to get home early Sunday for a Father's Day brunch with his other family. A retired man I see maybe twice a year can only spare a day and a half because he has to get back for brunch. But hey, at least he offered to stock our fridge/s. I'm honestly at a loss for what to say to him. I'm hurt, but buying a house has been exhausting, and I'm completely burned out mentally. Part of me wants to ask directly whether he has financially supported my stepsister all these years. Another part of me feels like I already know the answer and should stop hoping he'll suddenly become a different person. So what would you do? Confront it directly, or just let the relationship quietly fade? I'm in my 30s now, and I don't think I have another chance left in me to give him. Unfortunately, I also have plans with him this weekend, so I feel like it needs to be addressed or ignored. TLDR, my dad cheated on my mom, divorced her, and has spent the last 30 years quietly prioritizing his stepdaughter over his 2 biological children. An accidental voice text this week confirmed that he has the resources to fund international family vacations while offering us a grocery run during our engagement and first home purchase. I'm not sure whether to confront him about it or finally let the relationship go. Edit, thank you to everyone who is chiming in. I appreciate your opinion and insight. I'm trying to reply to as many of you as possible, so I'm sorry I miss you. Edit number 2. I truly didn't realize this would gain so much attraction and thus so many comments. I'm struggling to keep up. I'm trying to read them all even if I don't reply, so I appreciate all the different opinions and stories. Thank you for all the advice. Comments.
Hey Dad, think you meant to send this text to someone else, but good to know what all those child support contributions you still owe Mom and Sis are being used for. Enjoy Thailand and don't worry about the truck. As usual, I'll manage without you. He's not going to change. He's not going to improve. He's probably not even going to acknowledge he's done anything wrong even when called on it. And he probably will cancel on you at the last minute this weekend. So I wouldn't even worry about playing nice just to squeeze out that one last bit of help. Stop expecting different or better and pare your relationship back to the bare minimum you can handle without being disappointed or angry. If that leaves nothing, then so be it. He instantly said, "That was for someone else, don't read." Growling AI. AI didn't cause you to be a POS of a dad. But I like that verbiage. Already did. Message received. And that's it. You're done. Forever. We both know that's not true, and I'm tired of pretending it is. In fact, I'm tired of pretending I have a father. You stopped being one when you cheated on my mother. You've made your priorities clear. Do not contact me again. Your sister is right. You are continuing to hope that someday he will love you the way he loves his stepdaughter. He won't. You keep hoping he will one day feel bad for the way he has treated you. He won't. You keep hoping someday he will contribute to your life the way he does his stepdaughter. He won't. The best you can expect to get is maybe him asking to reconnect with you in 30 years when he is financially depleted and needs money from you. And if you aren't naive, you will realize that will be about him getting money and not about spending time with you. It's up to you to decide if you think you deserve to be treated like an afterthought by your own father or whether you deserve more. And if you realize you deserve more, which you do, then you would be better off not wasting your time and attention trying to make this man care about you. Go low or no contact. Stop thinking about him. Stop taking to him. Stop waiting for him to help you out. Spend your energy on the people who do love you. Let him waste his weekend driving your stuff to your new place, then tell him he's a shit father and not to contact you anymore. Yeah, my partner said to wait until the weekend is over and see if he has anything more to contribute, and if not, just cut ties. I just struggle to be fake. It's a long ride to pretend I'm happy he is helping. Who says you have to be fake? You're giving a last-ditch effort. You're grateful for his help regardless. It's a long ride and it's out of the way, but you can also, close to the end, talk about his voicemail. Just enjoy the last impression of your dad with no pressure.
I, 21F, tested positive for chlamydia, and my boyfriend, 21M, tested negative. He thinks I cheated. I think he's lying. How could this be possible? My boyfriend and I have been together for over a year. I was tested for STDs before we started dating, and he was not. We are monogamous, and I have never stepped outside of the relationship. I had some low pain in my pelvis, so along with checking the health of my bladder, my doctor ordered a chlamydia and gonorrhea test. I was called 24 hours later with results, as my clinic has a lab within the clinic to immediately do all the tests. I'm positive for chlamydia. I wasn't really upset about it, and immediately called my boyfriend to tell him and get him to go to a clinic so we could both start antibiotics. He was tested the next day, on a Saturday. He went to an urgent care that does not have a lab in clinic, and instead sends their tests to an external lab. I called the clinic he was tested at this morning and asked them how long it takes for them to get chlamydia results back. A nurse at that clinic told me it takes 2 to 5 business days, because they do not test in-house. He went in for testing on Saturday, and supposedly got results on Sunday, 24 hours later. Now, I checked our phone bill, and I do see that the clinic called him before he called me. He told me he tested negative for everything and they found no antibodies in his blood for anything. We both freaked out, because obviously he thinks I cheated and I know I did not, so this shouldn't be possible. So he calls the clinic back and starts asking questions. They tell him they won't answer anything over the phone. So he decides he's going to retest. So he drives to the clinic again, and is there for maybe 10 minutes and leaves. After he leaves, he tells me that the insurance won't cover it again so soon, and he isn't worried about it anymore and believes I didn't cheat. Like total 180 mood switch, and suddenly totally believes I didn't cheat and wants to forget the whole thing happened. Tells me not to worry about a retest, and just take my antibiotics and forget it. He's really nice again and loving all of a sudden. So now I'm starting to think that maybe the lab called him, told him one thing came back negative and he assumed he was clean for everything, including the chlamydia. Then, my theory is, he went back and told them he needed a retest for chlamydia. They told him his results weren't back for that yet and clarified the misunderstanding. Then, after I was so upset he would accuse me of cheating, he didn't want to admit he misunderstood the results and just tried to move on like nothing happened. What other possible explanations are there for this? Update: okay, so I had him call the clinic in front of me and tell him his results again. They confirmed that all his tests were negative, including chlamydia. He's agreed to retest again tomorrow. Comments.
The normal reaction from a man whose woman tests positive is to go nuclear and end the relationship. Your BF said, he isn't worried about it anymore and believes I didn't cheat. He either walked into your relationship with it, or he picked it up recently. Stop trying to suss this out when he already gave you the answer. Or he picked it up recently. Opie had a symptomatic response, so she got it recently. So unless she only recently stopped practicing safe sex with him, or they had an accident recently, then he only got it recently. Statistically within 3 weeks of OP's symptoms first appearing. Chlamydia can go years without any symptoms whatsoever. Asymptomatic sufferers will go their entire lives without signs and symptoms of their chlamydia infection. They will, however, present with signs and symptoms of secondary conditions brought on by such long-term infections. Years of infection. Opie has been with this guy less than a year and came into this relationship after testing negative. Opie developed signs and symptoms of a chlamydia infection, making Opie a symptomatic sufferer. The time frame is absurd for a secondary condition to be at play here. Not impossible, though, but lottery-level odds. The overwhelming majority of symptomatic sufferers experience this within 4 to 10 days following infection. The overwhelming majority of the remaining within 21 days. The possibility of having a symptomatic response even months after infection, let alone a full year later, while indeed possible, is again highly unlikely. Since I obviously don't know the intimate details of OP's life, I added the most obvious caveats. Secondly, OP has made no mention of her doctor expressing concerns over any possible secondary conditions, so I'll assume that they have no reason to suspect any long-term infection and are treating OP's condition as a recent infection. I'll further assume that her medical provider is well versed in the dangers, especially to women of long-term infections, and is still following this route. So the same exact situation happened to me and my ex. I never cheated, and I was positive, but he was negative. Come to find out, he just found out earlier than me, got his medication, and never told me. Maybe he is positive, but since he reacted that way, he doesn't want to retract those statements. Either way, it's a sexually transmitted infection, so. Also, clinic doesn't call for negative tests. Actually, I work at an urgent care clinic, and we do in fact call for all results, positive or negative.
My 29F husband, 33M, says I changed after having kids, but I think he liked me better when I was just his Barbie doll. My nickname has been Barbie since I was a teenager. Back then, I was pretty, thin, tan, had long blonde hair, and my signature color was pink. I was involved in beauty pageants from the time I was a kid through my early 20s, and the nickname was first given to me by people I knew in the pageant world. Somehow over time more people started calling me that, and by the time I was in high school everyone called me that. My husband was the Ken to my Barbie. In school he was the popular guy, the prom king, and yes, he had blonde hair too and a perfect smile. Once we met and got together, which wasn't until I was in college, everyone started calling us Barbie and Ken. We liked being the couple. I mean, I always thought our relationship was deeper than surface level, but I admit I liked the superficial parts of being together too. I liked being that couple. It was like part of my identity. I liked the image of who we were and how we looked together. We just celebrated our 5-year wedding anniversary. Recently I had 2 babies pretty much back to back. I got pregnant with my second when the first was under 6 months old, and they're 18 months and 4 months now. I feel like my entire sense of self has just disappeared. My days right now are basically feeding, washing, everything, nap schedules that don't line up, and running the same load of laundry 3 times because I keep forgetting to put it in the dryer on time. I know that's all normal for having really young kids. I live in oversized t-shirts. In fact, the one I've been wearing for days is an old Christmas-themed shirt of my husband's. I don't fit into any of my old clothes. I'm like 3 pant sizes bigger than before. I've tried buying new clothes, but nothing looks the same on me anymore, and I'm confused about what looks good on me when I used to be able to wear anything. What's really bothering me is the shift in how my husband and I interact. It's not like it's been big fights or anything like that. He eats dinner earlier now, usually standing at the kitchen counter while scrolling his phone. We talk less about anything personal. I don't think we really talk about anything personal anymore actually. It's all logistics, like who's going to run and get diapers. If I bring up feeling overwhelmed, he just says I should try to get more sleep. When? We sit on the couch together at night but barely actually talk. Nothing dramatic has happened. He still goes to work, he helps with the kids, he still says he loves me, but lately he started saying things like I've changed since having kids. He says I'm more emotional, more critical, harder to talk to, and not like the person he married. He's probably right in some ways. I just can't help thinking it's more than that though. I feel like something changed in how he treats me when I stopped being the Barbie version of myself. Now I'm tired, messy, forgetful, behind on everything, I don't dress up, I don't wear makeup, my hair is never styled. I feel like I'm being seen and treated differently because of that. I don't know if this is just a normal adjustment period that would be expected for raising 2 babies under 2, or if there's something bigger going on. I'm really worried that it's a sign of something bigger that I just didn't see or didn't want to admit until now. I'm worried our relationship was always built on superficial things and an image and nothing deeper than that. This isn't even like a bad situation. It's difficult, but it should be a happy type of difficult. What would happen if we really had to go through something bad together in life? How do you tell the difference between just natural relationship changes after having kids and the idea that my relationship only worked when we were pretending to be these idealized version of ourselves, like props for the other person? Comments.
When you have kids, you're supposed to change. You can't be the same person you were before because you've never had tiny humans relying on you for everything they need. Did he also change, or did his life pretty much stay the same except now he has kids he tells people about? That may sound harsh, but did it change for him? Does he come home and immediately take on the burden of the kids every day so you can have an hour or two of peace every day? Does he cook half the meals? Do half the cleaning? Do half the laundry? Does he take the kids to the park? Doctor's appointments? Does he go grocery shopping, if he goes? Does he take the kids? What does he do to make your life easier besides the bare minimum of having a job? A job he'd have even if he didn't have kids. You have no time for yourself, so you've lost your sense of self. Sure, you could have postpartum depression, but you don't mention being sad. You mention feeling overwhelmed. That's because you are overwhelmed. You need time to yourself. You can't do this alone. As for a man changing after having kids and treating his wife differently, that's just men. Obviously not all men, but enough that it's a trope. Many men, and women, have kids because society says they should. Then after they've got them, they realize they don't really want to be a parent, but kids aren't puppies, and you can't just send them back. What can you do? Depends on what you're willing to ask for and accept. You need him to step up and be a parent so you can get some time in for only yourself and find who are now with kids. You also need to decide what you're willing to accept from a partner. He doesn't sound like he's really engaging with you or parenting. You can't make him want to do those things. If he won't, are you willing to leave? What are you willing to accept for the rest of your life? Big decisions and conversations are coming your way soon. His life has obviously changed, but not nearly as much as mine. He's still pretty much the person he was before, able to do all of the same things he did before. He goes to work, goes to the gym, goes on 2-week-long work trips, still has time to take care of himself, is currently eating super healthy, but just making all this food for himself because it's such a restrictive diet that he says I wouldn't want to eat it or have the willpower to only eat what he's eating. I'm lucky if I even remember to eat breakfast or have time to eat something I pop in the micro for lunch. He still leaves most days before 6 a.m. so he can go to the gym, so that means I really get no help in the mornings. When he comes home, he does help with the kids, but not to the point where I can just be off for a few hours straight. We went to the grocery store together this week, as close as we've got to a date for a while. He will grocery shop by ordering groceries for delivery, but even then he can't just make the list by himself. I don't want to get a divorce, but there have been times recently where I've wondered if I picked a life partner based on all of the wrong reasons. I wasn't thinking about finding a man who would do the laundry and the cooking and take the kids to the park before. I didn't consider things that I probably should have considered, and I wish I had. I picked somebody based largely on stupid, surface-level things. I think you're close to being very honest with yourself here. Maybe your husband can change to become the man you need him to be. But he won't do it on his own, and you need to have that conversation with him to tell him that you're not satisfied in the relationship, that you are now craving that deeper, more dependable type of partner, and not that surface Ken doll character. Just picking up on a minor detail, but with 2 small babies under 2 years old, it is incredibly selfish to maintain a daily 6 a.m. gym schedule. Fuck his gym time. I say this as a dad. My daughter is 5 years old now. Back when we were doing sleep training, or just during the early postpartum months, absolutely nothing mattered to me more than my wife getting any amount of extra rest that I could offer her. I did as much of the overnight work as I could. I sacrificed my own sleep schedule. I was always better at running on less sleep than my wife was, and I felt proud of any situation where I could get the baby to nap a little longer or have my wife sleep 30 minutes more than she was expecting to get. That was the kind of shit that made me feel like a man, like I was doing my job to provide for my new family. Who gives a fuck about going to the gym? Unless that was his livelihood or something. If he was a trainer or a model, then maybe that's an excuse. Going to the gym every day by leaving the house before 6 a.m., no compromises and no consideration for what you need? Fuck that. He's an immature prick, and he needs to be told that he's being a prick. Maybe he can change, or maybe he won't. But you should not suffer alone with a partner who isn't actually being a partner to you. I think it's wonderful to have your perspective here. My brother-in-law did the same. He and my sister have 5 children, completely planned, no religious element, which is very unusual where we live, and they actually fully share parenting 50:50. All of it. They put another bed in the kids' room when they were little, and he would go and get whoever was up back to sleep in the middle of the night and sleep next to them till morning. I admire both of them a lot for how they manage to handle things. But also, when you decide to have kids as a non-birthing parent, this is normal. This level of involvement is what is necessary to not leave the birthing parent an empty husk of a human. This effort is what you should be fully planning to give when you decide to have a child. Men who do this are not exceptional unicorns. That's what being a father is. I don't think that is clear enough. There are, however, too many incredibly selfish people like OP's husband who are failing their wives/partners by not doing their share of anything after deciding to have a child, unfairly burdening their partners.
My parents, 38F, 38M, favored my siblings over me, 18M, and turned them into brats, and now they want us to work it out because the rest of the family has stopped talking to them? My parents, 38F/38M, didn't have a lot of money when they first had me, and we struggled for the first few years of my life. Everything I had as a baby and preschooler was hand-me-downs. Things started to get better for them when I was like 5, and they had my younger brother when I was 6. He had such a different experience compared to me, and so did my 2 younger sisters. My parents could do better by them, and they spoiled them so much they turned my siblings into brats while they never went that far for me. I got significantly less than my siblings, and their families called it out. They also called out my siblings' behavior, but my parents never listened. My parents and I would get into fights over the favoritism and over their families speaking up for me. They felt like I was complaining to other relatives and trying to start shit, and they felt that wasn't fair. It was so bad one year that my parents didn't get me anything for Christmas because they left it too late to shop for me, and it turned into an all-out war with my mom's parents and them. Did I mention they only had my list because my grandparents asked me to make one? Yeah, that's right. My grandparents were the reason I had a wish list to start with. Meanwhile, my siblings were throwing the stuff they got at me and screaming into my face because I wouldn't set up stuff for them, and my parents said nothing to them. We also never celebrated my birthday when I turned 16 because my baby sister wanted to take advanced ballet and my brother wanted to switch to do a football thing, and my parents made those a priority over my birthday. So after my birthday last year, I moved in with my grandparents, and then both sides of the family stopped speaking to my parents. They were no longer invited anywhere, and nobody wanted my siblings around either. They have become such spoiled brats, and my parents act surprised when people call it out. But now I guess they feel the loneliness of having no family who talks to them because they reached out and said they want to work it out. They admitted nothing and only said we needed to not let this ruin our family. I don't think I should, but what about people on the outside? Got any advice? I can't really change my extended family's decision, and I wouldn't try, but at least for me and my parents, do I try or do I not? Comments.
It's not your problem. They can talk to their parents and make steps to resolve the issues at hand. You can't do that on their behalf, especially as one of the issues is their lack of accountability. Yeah, I agree. I was just wondering if I should be willing to work on things between us, but I don't really believe that would be good for me. Good for them, maybe, but for me it'll give them more chances to show me I come last. They want something from you. If they truly want to make it up, it starts with an acknowledgement of their wrongdoing and an apology. The fact that's not forthcoming, and you've just become a legal adult, something doesn't seem right. They want something from you. My bet is someone told them what their will is, and the parents and younger sibs are getting skipped in favor of OP. But there is a non-zero chance that they realize they fucked up. Sure, low, but non-zero. Or that OP was helping with the siblings, but now all the work is left for the parents. I wasn't helping with my siblings. My parents tried it a few times, but I refused to do it because of how bad their behavior is. No, we don't need to fix anything. You spent my entire childhood making it very clear you don't consider me family. I don't know how you envision that working out for you, but it's not my problem you're not happy with the consequences of your actions. Or just ignore them. They want to prove you actually matter to them as something more than a tool to get back into the family's good graces. They can start by demonstrating they understand why you wouldn't want to speak to or help them, and just work on being better people without dragging you into it. Unless they are able to have a good honest look at themselves and see and admit to where they went wrong, I wouldn't bother giving them the time of day. Based on the way they reached out, I'm sorry to say I don't think that's going to happen. They don't want to build bridges with you. They want to use you as a bridge to the wider family. You're a means to an end for them. You deserve so much better.
Thanks for watching my video. Please like it and subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories.